Mr. Wayne. Thermal imaging is showing me 24 hostiles on the 3rd floor. Why don't I drop you off on the 2nd?
Greatly anticipated of the live-action forthcoming of Batman vs. Superman, our lead antagonist is, I'm sorry, I don't know what the hell I just said. Our lead antagonist is nothing other than the legendary Lex Luthor. In devising his plan, he explains that the key to bringing down Superman is like a triangle. There's a clear path, a straight line, defining his weakness. Batman v Superman feels like a chiliagon, which is a 1,000-sided polygon, because that's how many components they tried to cram into this superhero film, thus forging a clear, straight path to our weaknesses as well. It didn't take long for BVS to clearly show us that they have way too much to talk about in one movie. About 15 minutes in, we are given a backstory, 2 different motivations for hatred, a difficult love story, and an event that is not explained well and evidently surmounts to nothing. Think it sounds like a lot? It is. Just like they try to cram too many elements into the story, they cram the scenes as well. Snyder uses so many cuts, rushes dialogue, and every scene pretty much feels like no longer than 5 minutes, giving us little to no time to engage or absorb what's even happening. Much like his problem with Man of Steel, director Zack Snyder has some major pacing issues. But let's go back to the beginning. I'll try and pace this review a little bit better than Snyder did his film. We start off with Bruce Wayne's perspective of the destruction of Metropolis. In what is one of the best scenes in the movie, we see all the pain and suffering that went down on the ground and how much damage Superman did while trying to stop General Zod in the previous film. This sparks a rage in Bruce Wayne as he tries to save people from wreckage, but evidently realizes that he is ultimately powerless to these otherworldly beings. They must be held accountable and cannot be allowed to run amok without repercussions. So easily.
What's next? Millions. He has the power to wipe out the entire human race, and if we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty. And we have to destroy him.
But he is not our enemy.
Not today. 20 years in Gotham, Alfred. We've seen what promises are worth. How many good guys are left? How many stayed that way?
You're gonna go to war.
One of the only parts of the script that I think makes sense is Batman's motivation. Fear is a powerful emotion, and when an alien all of a sudden comes out of hiding and practically levels a city, as an already established hero and mere man, you may feel fear and a sense of obligation to do something about it. Sure, fine. It is within the depths of the plot that this movie can go from confusing to outright sloppy and virtually senseless. We get meaningless and unclear subplots, idiotic master plans, laughable alliance reasons, and some pretty bad character writing too. I think overall the performances were fine with what the actors were given to work with. Yep, I liked Affleck, despite his borderline sociopathically written Batman. I liked Cavill, despite how Superman mopes and gripes and complains and seems depressed throughout the entire movie. Isn't the S symbol a symbol for hope? I liked Alfred, despite him only having a few scenes, and I even liked Jesse Eisenberg's unorthodox portrayal of Lex Luthor as a young, wealthy, yet twitchy, conniving villain. It's ultimately the writing that fails to do these characters justice. We know little to nothing about Lex, except that the writers don't seem to really know anything either. But here's a clip of Eisenberg's egotistical portrayal of the always scheming youngster villain.
And you will battle to the death. Black and blue. Fight night. The greatest gladiator match in the history of the world. God versus man. Day versus night. Son of Krypton versus Bat of Gotham.
Overall, I think the acting was fine, but I even lowered my expectations a little bit after seeing the reviews, and I was still disappointed in the movie as a whole. So now I want to be a little evil myself and go over what else was so disappointing. Walking into a Batman versus Superman movie directed by Zack Snyder, what would you expect? Probably at the least some pretty fantastic visuals, some maybe epic one-liners from the heroes, and awesome fight scenes, right? Well, almost. They tried a few one-liners here and there, and they just really didn't work, plain and simple. No Hulk smash or anything like that. No humor to be found anywhere, by the way. And as far as the action, considering this is the same guy who directed Watchmen and 300, damn, what happened? Other than maybe 1.5 scenes, the action wasn't even well choreographed. How do you mess that up? If all else fails, you at least need to have some breathtaking action. Nope. Instead, we got some scuffles, more building smashing, some borderline sadistic moments, and just basically being let down time after time, with the exception of a few good moments here and there. So what did the movie accomplish? Yes, it visually looked pretty good. It's a heavy movie, and they not only built an atmosphere pretty heavy around it, but most of the visuals were pretty appealing. And now, after all this backlash, if I'm being true to myself, I really didn't hate it. Am I a fan? No. Was I pretty disappointed? Yes. But was I also at least mildly entertained throughout? Yeah, I was. I can't explain it, but I can't deny my gut feeling of enjoying parts of it and being overall entertained throughout its 2.5-hour runtime. It has a ton of problems, the film was riddled with plot holes, but they still achieved a little entertainment, or a level of entertainment, I guess. But then my brain goes haywire. What was Lois Lane's purpose to have in the movie other than Superman saving her 18 times? Why are Batman's morals gone? Why does Superman never try to explain himself? Why did Doomsday look worse than the cave troll in 2001's Fellowship of the Ring? How do any of the villainous schemes even make sense? What were the incomprehensible dream sequences? Why was Wonder Woman my favorite character in a Batman versus Superman movie? My conclusion is this. Zack Snyder blatantly cannot tell this DC Universe story, and they need new writers to even give him a fighting chance. Hopefully when Justice League begins filming in just a mere few weeks, they will see the criticism and learn from it. I really want to like this universe and these movies. I really, really do. But it's kind of just not happening. There may be a straight triangle path to Superman's weaknesses, but there's a monotonous circle of madness that we, as an audience, are stuck dwelling in until this bird, no, plane, no, hero, can save us from. Had to be a little dramatic at the end, but
It was earned.
and apparently you weren't even as fond as I was.
I hated this movie. I hated this movie.
Let's hear it from you. I want to hear it from you.
This is a movie with a fundamental misunderstanding of the characters that it's making fight each other. This movie has the reason Superman and Batman work together is because they are exercises in contrast. Superman is the ray of optimism who helps Earth even if he doesn't have to. Batman is the brooding hero who won't kill, but will save the day and will do everything he can to keep Gotham clean so that people don't fall into the pitfall that he falls into. This movie does not even get those simple,
not even close.
morally logistics right of these two characters. Superman, he broods the whole time.
Yep.
He's helping Earth out of this obligation. It's this obligation that he just feels like he needs to.
But he doesn't look
needs to
happy
help but
doing it.
Yeah, but he looks annoyed. He
terrible.
looks annoyed
Yeah.
doing it. And Batman. So you make him dark. To keep that contrast, you have to make Batman darker. Batman's a psychopath. He's a serial killer here. As Affleck is the best thing about the film. He gives Batman this little bit of edge and stuff. But it's a fundamental misrepresentation of what the characters are about. And I can go on and on about all the negatives, but I have to boil down to just keep this concise.
and no spoilers, but
The writing is atrocious.
Yeah.
The writing is... Why anybody does anything in this movie does not make any sense. Things jump from one scene to the other. The pacing and the editing is awful.
Awful.
The pacing
Oh
and the
my
editing
gosh.
is really bad because scenes
Terrible.
follow other scenes that don't make sense. It's cramming about 80 minutes of story into a 2.5-hour movie, so it's padding.
Yeah.
And then we actually
then it's
get to
just-
the fight
and it's-
after we waste all this time. It's 5 minutes. It's very
terrible.
It's very, very slow
so
and monotonous,
bad.
and the choreography
It's just-
choreography is
choreography is
just bad.
just-
And this is a film that wanted to do what Marvel does with its universe,
but it just
but doesn't want to do the work
rushing,
to get
it's rushing
there.
it. How the script got approved is beyond me.
This was not written by fans.
No.
This was written by people that don't understand why we want to
Yeah.
see Batman and Superman together. This is written by people who are like, oh, if we pit them together against each other,
Right, but
that'll be
there's
cool.
there's not a great reason they fight, and there's not great reason for why people do things. There's not a great reason for why this person is here, why this happened, why they hate this person. It just kind of like just because.
We pride ourselves on not doing spoilers on the show. But
Yeah.
I kind of wish we devoted like a half an hour, like a whole show to the spoiler thing for this movie, because you can go piece by piece throughout
you can
and just
pick
watch
apart,
the
like-
entire thing crumble.
Yeah, you really can.
Positives.
And by the way, if you were to take your kids to this movie, you would be pissed.
It's not for
this
kids.
Is not.
This movie's for no one. This movie is for no one.
It's really not.
This
Like,
movie is, it's a movie that assumes you know Batman and Superman's history, so it does
Right.
nothing with the
But
characters.
then it insults you by going certain places, and then it doesn't, and then it'll explain this, but they go too far into this, and it's like, pick one.
But yeah, exactly. It assumes you know Batman and Superman, but then it insults you by showing Bruce Wayne's parents die 4 times.
Yeah, like no, we got that. We knew that we knew that back in '98 and
Yeah,
earlier.
it's just,
earlier.
it's such
just-
a fundamental disappointment.
Yeah.
It's, at the very least, I wanted it to be entertaining, and it's boring, and it's dull, and it takes
I think
itself
that's the-
way too seriously. I mean, okay, Batman's a dark hero, but
Yeah,
he's a
but I
man
mean-
in a bat suit at the end of the day, fighting an
Right.
alien. Someone
Right.
needs to crack a smile.
Nowhere.
And the only person that
Nowhere.
cracks a smile in the
Well,
entire movie
one.
is Wonder
And
Woman.
it was great. That
And
was great.
her 5 minutes are great.
Yeah.
But again, the way she is written when she's not in the suit is just to set up the Justice League stuff,
Yeah.
which don't even get me started on that stuff. That is, again, it's a big trailer for a movie that's coming, but that I don't want to see at this point.
I guess it's kind of the same. I'm hopeful that they'll finally get it right, but I'm not excited.
I think we should get our ratings up because I could just keep going, but
wish
I
we
think I'm
could.
going to be nice and stop.
Yeah, I guess so.
This is.
We should release like a separate one that are like
I'll
spoiler
do
heavy.
I'll do an audio thing on this. It's
I
just
think we should, because we can
because
we
I
do a
can
good
go
one.
I can go literally minute by minute,
Yep.
and just
You have to. I have to look to find the good in this movie.
I gave it a 3.5.
Now for me, and actually I want to address this. For me, a lot of it comes from here, but a lot of it does come from my gut, and my gut tells me that I didn't hate it. So, somewhat generously, I threw it a 5.5. But I'm not a fan. I didn't hate it, but I'm not a fan. I don't know. I'm pretty disappointed.
I'm very disappointed.